This is huge for the Edmonton Oilers. No, I'm not talking about tonight's game against the Nashville Predators. It is the NHL's franchise valuations, and you may be surprised where the Oilers do end up on this list. But before we get into all that, all the valuations, all the news, all the rumors, all the breakdowns, and tonight's preview against the Nashville Predators, make sure to subscribe here to Oilers Digest as we are oh so close to 2,200 subscribers. Yes, Halloween is upon us, and it's spooky for the Edmonton Oilers tonight as they begin their stretch without Connor McDavid. But first, some financial news. Yes, some valuable info. Yes, when it comes to the Sportico NHL franchise valuations, the Oilers ended up being top 10 on this list, finishing 7th at a valuation of $2.4 billion, but that is a 51% increase over last year. So the Oilers getting a little bit richer as they are the third most valuable Canadian franchise. And just to be, top 10 is huge in itself, only falling below Chicago, Los Angeles, Boston, Montreal, New York, in Toronto. So above 5 out of the 6 of the original 6 teams. Of course, you can see they're Detroit at the 10th spot. When it comes to the valuations for the Oilers, it's kind of a far cry from where they were a little over 26 years ago. We'll get into that in a second when owner Daryl Katz bought the Oilers for 200 million Canadian dollars, about 107 million USD, which sounds like a steal in its own. Back in February of 2008, it took until his fourth bid before a deal was made, starting with an original offer of 145 million by Katz 10 months before finally hitting the right number. The Edmonton Investors Group, the ownership group that owned the Oilers before Daryl Katz, which was comprised of about a little less than 40 people or 40 individuals, rejected his first 3 bids before accepting an offer in December of 2007 for $23,000 per share. So seeing this team now valued at 2.4 billion American really is remarkable. And yes, the Oilers climbing the ranks when it comes to franchise valuations. Now, like I mentioned earlier, in 1998, the Oilers were on the verge of moving to Houston, Texas. Yes, there's a whole campaign in the spring of 1998. The Stay Oilers Stays owner Peter Pocklington sold the team, and he was about to sell the team to an American businessman, which would have moved the team to Houston Texans. But a group of, like I said, a little less than 40 individuals bought the Edmonton Oilers, which saved Oilers hockey. And it was pretty big news for the Oilers, because Edmonton, that's pretty much all they had back in 1998. Sure, there was the Elks, Eskimos, whatever you want to call them now, but that was only pretty much not all year round like the Oilers were. And in the late 90s, yes, the Oilers did go into some pretty deep playoff runs, but to see him at 2.4 billion, amazing. But club revenues have benefited from the introduction of helmet sponsorships in 2020 in jersey patches 2 years later. Last season, the NHL launched its new digitally enhanced dashboards, which are awful, but that's a different story for a different day. And revenue topped $50 million, which exceeded the league's original year 3 projections, according to someone familiar with the forecasts. Another revenue bump last season came from the concerts in event businesses, which hit record numbers in many cities as fans embraced live events. And not only that, but I mean, for the Oilers, the new ice district, I've been there many times, it's phenomenal. Like a whole business district, not just surrounding the Oilers, but lots of other local businesses around there too. You can see there's the Oilers store, and then lots of restaurants, and lots of different places around there. So not just that, but it sort of sparked not just the Oilers, the value of the Oilers itself, but downtown Edmonton revitalized it to an extent compared to where the Oilers were a little over 8 years ago with Northlands Coliseum in that part of Edmonton, moving to a much bigger, more revitalized part of the city. Really not only helped Edmonton and the Oilers, but has just made them a lot more valuable in the long run. And I mean, all those revenues in the cap is still only at 88 million. I mean, let's pick it up here, folks. But enough of the NHL valuation. I mean, huge news for the Oilers. Think of what you will of Daryl Katz as a person or owner, but the Oilers, they have benefited this in the long run, and it also doesn't help having two of the most valuable players in the league with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. But the Oilers tonight will be without one of those as they take on the Nashville Predators. And what's the scoop? Yes, the Oilers are taking on the Nashville Predators later on tonight, beginning their stretch of games without Connor McDavid. How many games he will miss exactly, we have no idea yet, but tonight they will be taking on the Nashville Predators as it gets a little bit scary without Connor McDavid. But the Nashville Predators, they are starting to pick it up tremendously ever since losing 4-2 to the Oilers. They drop one more to the Detroit Red Wings before rattling off 3 wins in a row. UC Saros getting the shutout against the Boston Bruins. I mean, what a way to get your first win against, one of the premier teams in the NHL over the past few years, winning 3-2 against the Chicago Blackhawks, winning 4-3 in overtime over the Columbus Blue Jackets, who in their own right stomped the Oilers 6-1 before losing in Tampa Bay on the return of Steven Stamkos to the Tampa Bay area, losing that one 3-2 in overtime. Just taking a look at the Nashville Predators. Again, they seem to figure it out on the line combos here. The top 6, Philip Forsberg, Ryan O'Reilly, and Jonathan Marchessault. Steven Stamkos, Tommy Novak, Gustav Nyquist, and their bottom 6. Hot and heavy Mark Jankowski, Colton Sissons, and Luke Evangelista. Meanwhile, Zachary LaRue, Michael McCarron, and Cole Smith. And on the back end here, again, lots of bruising defensemen here. Roman Josi paired up next to Luke Shen, Jeremy Lauzon, Alexander Carrier, Brady Shea, and Dante Fabro. And UC Saros is expected to get the start in net tonight. Meanwhile, for Kris Knoblauch, he was asked about, the lack of, star players without Connor McDavid, but he says, I think anytime you lose one of your star players, it hurts your team, but often I've seen it elevate the games of others, and you never want to miss Connor McDavid, but every so often, other players step up because we need them. They'll be getting more opportunities and more ice time, and they know they will be counted on a lot more. It's not ideal missing Connor, but we're trying to make the most of it with other guys getting their opportunities, and there will be some opportunities tonight in the bottom 6 specifically, with the top 6 being Vasily Podkolzin, Leon Draisaitl, and Victor Arvidsson. That line has, created some chemistry over the past couple games against Columbus. Not so much, but there's always time for that to spark up again. Jeff Skinner, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Zach Hyman makes your second line. Meanwhile, the bottom 6, Matthias Janmark, Adam Henrique, and Connor Brown. And the return of Drake Caggiula to Edmonton. Meanwhile, Noah Philp makes his NHL debut, and Corey Perry fills out the right wing spot on the 4th line. Meanwhile, on the defensive side, Mattias Ekholm and Evan Bouchard. And we get a little questionable here with Darnell Nurse next to Travis Dermott, filling in for Troy Stecher, and Brett Kulak in Ty Emberson. That looks all good except for Dermott being in the spot of Stecher, but I could always eat my words tonight, and Calvin Pickard gets the start tonight in goal. But Noah Philp, it is his NHL debut tonight. Of course, coming out of training camp, I thought he was going to make the team, but for cap purposes, the Oilers did send him down to Bakersfield. I thought he would have won that 4th line center spot over a guy like Derek Ryan, but he finally gets his chance tonight. Of course, he took a year off due to personal reasons in the 2023-24 season, but in 6 games with the Bakersfield Condors, 2 goals for 1 assist with 3 points. In the pregame interview, I should say the morning presser this morning, he was very excited to make his NHL debut, and I'm excited to see him make his NHL debut. He won't, I don't think he'll make that much of a difference right off the hop. Getting over my words here, I'm excited for Noah Philp as he makes his debut tonight, and I hope you should be too. But let me know down in the comments what you think about the news today, about the Oilers franchise valuation. What do you think about the lines tonight, and are you worried with no Connor McDavid? Let me know in the comments. Have yourselves a fantastic day and a happy Halloween. Stay safe out there.